sometimes our system, even for all of its faults and failings, it works. And sometimes elements within the system are working against it. We're talking about the criminal justice system specifically here. And I want to quote from the LA Times. Earlier this week, a local federal judge in Orange County, so a district judge by the name of Cormac Carney, dismissed charges for the second time in 2 years against two white supremacist defendants, claiming that there was selective prosecution. Now, there's a lot going on in this particular story, particularly because these individuals, one of them is the founder of a group that is in fact racist. And I personally was involved in some of the investigations on the surveillance end of this movement. They're called the Rise Against movement. They're essentially like racist preppers. And so on instinct, as decent human beings who listen to this show, you think, well, I don't have any common cause with racists and I don't have any common cause with white supremacists. Those people are not my people, but they are still Americans. And we should still, even the worst of us, if they don't engage in violence or physical activity that propagates that ideology, if they're just sit there saying things that are odious to us, we really have to know that there is a historical precedent in America of defending such actions. In other words, you have the right to be terrible in this country and have awful opinions. And unless you take action on them, we shouldn't be prosecuting on a federal level. Now, this case stems from violent physical interactions between Antifa, which is sort of the awful side of the political left, and these types who were protesting, and they were pro-Donald Trump or something to that effect, in 2017 in California. The FBI, which is I refer to as my ex-girlfriend, as a former FBI agent, she was out there aggressively pushing investigations into these types. And I was actually asked to fly to Alaska and be part of one of the investigations where we essentially watched someone at any moment he could engage with other white supremacists. It turns out you're actually allowed to be a white supremacist in America, as awful as that sounds. That's actually the brilliance of our country. In the same way that law enforcement doesn't owe a duty to act to individuals, they also cannot be out there policing the good and the bad ideology, because then everybody's on a gradient. So this judge made a very groundbreaking decision in many ways and pushed the envelope in a way that most of us would be sort of uncomfortable, kind of a point of personal pride, I would think, that he stood on principle and said, if you do not enforce laws justly and evenly across the political spectrum, there's going to be a significant problem, and that will come back in to essentially weaponize government.